among friends.
Well, congratulations on the film, Captain Fantastic. It's been open in the theaters. I hope some of you guys have gotten a chance to see it. You know, actors often talk about that they are just so entranced by a script, and I know you've talked about how that was the main thing that got you into this movie. Is that partially because most of the scripts that are circulating are terrible?
Yes. But it's nothing new. I think this is the beginning of movie making as an art form. I think it's very difficult to write a good script. I think it's not so difficult to have a good idea, good concept. It's not impossible to start off well with a script. And when I sat down to read Matt Ross's Captain Fantastic, I thought, well, what's his title? I didn't know anything. I started reading and I was sucked in right away, just as I am when I watch the movie. And I thought, okay, I see where this is going. It's a liberal utopian fantasy, and these people are going to do battle against conservative forces or obstacles, and it could be interesting. It's kind of a subgenre, I suppose, and it's a particular ideological exercise. But it's funny so far. It's interesting. It's sort of shocking and so forth how it starts. And then it wasn't that at all. It becomes, for anybody who's seen the movie, it's much more complex than that. It's much more satisfying than that. And it's very hard to subvert expectations, to surprise people when you write a screenplay. And it's probably the hardest thing of all is once you've got something going, you've got a good story going, is to end it well, satisfyingly. And I felt that all those things happened. I closed the script, I just read it, laughed, I got welled up a little bit sometimes. Sometimes I just stopped and said, oh, come on. How can you do that? You can't talk to kids that way. Or, you're crazy. Or, wow, the grandfather's right. I mean, I was just talking to myself. And I realized I'd made no notes. I was fully engaged. I closed it, and I thought, this is wonderful. This is one of the best scripts I've ever read. It looks effortless when you see a movie that where everything fits. But it's very hard to write a script like this. So yeah, it was the script that drew me in.
Yeah, one of the things that you're also known for is very meticulous research when you undertake a role. You were really interested in the workings of their camp where they lived, right? How they got their water, that kind of stuff.
I thought, just like Matt did, that the way we establish the place where they live, the life, this off-the-grid life, that it was really important that it be credible. The food source, sanitation.
Did you try any of that stuff on your own?
Some movies require skills that you've never had to master or seem like you can master.
Rock climbing, maybe in this one?
Rock climbing was not something I was a fan of. I'm still not a fan of. That was a trying day for me. I was very... Matt apparently didn't realize it, but now he said to me the other day, he said, now I realize why you wouldn't come down for lunch. So I was terrified, Coming down for lunch? No, I'm fine. My nose pressed against the granite. Viggo, can you see me? Yeah? I'm not going to look down. I think that Ben Cash, the character I play in this movie, he's very intense, he's very extreme in many ways. At the beginning, I thought, wow, what a great dad, and then not too long into the story, I thought, he may be a menace, not only to his children, but to society at large. I'm not sure about this guy. But my job is to take that on and appreciate him and love him in some way. And my homemade way of approaching any role, any story, is to ask myself, what happened before page one? Where was he born? What was that like? Who were his parents? If it's not told, it's not usually told in a script, I'll make it up for myself. I'll create a history for him. And that can take you can spend the rest of your life doing that. But then one day comes and they say, okay, we're shooting the first scene, and that doesn't mean that's over with, but it's my way of feeling like I've turned over every stone, and now I can just give my undivided attention to my fellow actors and to the director and what's happening that day, because I do believe that the best acting is founded first and foremost on good reacting, that's what it's about. And I do think that this movie does have its finger on the pulse of what's happening in the country right now. Every once in a while, sometimes every decade, sometimes every few years, a movie comes along that touches on something very real that's going on in society, usually indirectly. When we're talking about the United States of America, I would say in recent decades, movies that are quite different from Captain Fantastic, I would say Easy Rider, for example, late 60s. In the 70s, that sort of first half of the 70s, golden period. Five Easy Pieces, Network, Taxi Driver, very different movies. But there was something about them that touched on what was going on, that captured, without trying to, without being ideological movies in any way, something about the social tension or lack of cohesion, polarization in society. And I do think that this movie accomplishes that I think it will be remembered, Captain Fantastic, as a movie of very much of its time. You know, I mean, you can't help but notice it's been going on forever, this endless, you know, presidential campaign that we have in this country. Is, I mean, this very polarizing rhetoric that is covered ad infinitum by the media because it sells. And, you know, what's your reaction? What's the counter reaction? What does she say? What does he say? Who disowns it? Will you vote for them? Yeah, it's on and on. And what happens is nobody's really talking to each other. They're giving their sound bites separately. People are in their camps more so than I can remember since, say, the late 70s, maybe mid-70s. People are not talking. We have more possibilities with technology now to communicate, to know what's going on, to learn about other points of view than ever. It's just multiplied. I mean, the possibilities are. It's astounding how much we can find out about each other, and yet people are very closed off. They're in their camps, reinforcing through technology their point of view, looking at candidates who say you don't have to learn about those others. You can exclude them from your thoughts and your interaction, your communication, and that's sad and dangerous, I think.
Do you feel, though, as an artist, that you have a responsibility to in some way tell stories that belong, that push forward a greater good?
No, I don't.
No, you don't?
No.
No, you're okay with just doing an entertaining movie?
I think any story that is provocative, perhaps makes you think that everything you're doing is wrong, at least for a moment, or question yourself. For me as an actor, that when it comes to the moment, no matter how well prepared I am of having to shoot, of really not being sure, because I haven't done exactly this kind of role before, if I'm going to be able to do a good job, that nervousness, the unknown about it, I think that's good. But I don't think I have to promote what is the greater good, or there's a certain arrogance in thinking that you know what the greater good is for anyone other than yourself. It's a lifelong experiment trying to figure out what the greater good is for me. I don't know what it is, you know, from day to day. I wouldn't have any problem playing, you know, a president. I wouldn't have any problem. I mean, I played Lucifer, and I enjoyed that part. It was a difficult part to research at first. You know, normally I bring, he would wear this, you know, these would be his shoes, I think, and these are the movies he's seen, and what happened to him, you know, before page one. A long story, an endless one. And then I realized, no, we all have a bit of the devil inside. We all have our dark secrets. We all have our moments of evil intention or, you know, hatred, envy. We all have that. And so that I just thought, I'll just play that. You don't have to push it. You don't have to yell. But why am I talking about the devil? Oh, I don't. Yeah, no, I don't think you have to make movies about the greater good, obviously.
You came to acting a little bit late, you know, after college, after you'd been living in Europe for a while, and you started to pick up these movie roles. What drew you to it in the first place?
I made a transition, I don't know at what point exactly, from just watching and either being interested or not in what I was seeing, being entertained by it or not, to wondering, well, what's the trick? You know, why is it that I walk out of here and I'm shocked that it's daytime and I'm in a city? And I started going to see movies, old movies that I'd never heard of by Italian directors and Japanese directors and Danish directors. It just showed me something else about movies, not just as entertainment, but as an art form. And I thought, I'm going to try it. It's New York City. I don't know I was born here, but I don't know anybody in New York City. I didn't know how to go about it exactly. I looked up in the yellow pages. I found, so it said Actors Repertory Theater. I said, that sounds ideal. They do lots of plays with actors, and it's a theater. Ideal. So I called them. I said, could I try out for the play? Well, how do you do that? And they go, the play? Well, you can audition. You can come down next Monday at 8:15 and, bring 2 pieces. I said, 2 pieces of what? And they said, 2 prepared texts. Okay, that I gotta know by heart? Ideally, yes. That's it. 8:15, see you then. So I prepared, not knowing what the hell. I constructed a monologue it was a short story that Karen Blixen wrote, and then for some strange reason, selected an old Irish song. So I went in and I delivered this Jack the Ripper monologue and sang this song. And they sort of sat there going, okay, we'll get back to you. And I go, that's it, you can go. And I went, and I thought, well, this probably didn't go well. I didn't know enough. And I got a call, the next day, actually, and they said, you can come back on Wednesday, and it'll be Mondays and Wednesdays. I go, what's the play? They go, there is no play. It's class, you're coming. And it was a workshop, and so I was a late bloomer and a slow starter, and 37 years, 34 years later, here I am. So, still trying to figure it out.
Most audiences around the world got to know you through Lord of the Rings. When that came out, were you prepared to have your life change at all?
I was open to having more work opportunities. I thought that was great. I wasn't prepared for, being photographed, when I went to 7-Eleven at 5 in the morning, and, or being at the vet with my dog, and just all these. I think they got tired quickly, though, of me, because that's what they were getting. I wasn't, on a beach with Liv Tyler or something. I was with my dog, or had a donut in my mouth, and I was trying to figure out which key to open the car door with, and, or I was taking a nap on the sidewalk or something.
I'm beginning to feel a little sorry for you.
I wasn't ready for that. They'd say, what's wrong with you? Have you been drinking? I said, no, I was really taking a nap. I was waiting for Franny, he was going to pick me up. So I fell asleep on the sidewalk. And people have different reactions to it. I don't think you can be prepared for it. I mostly saw it as positive. I thought, it's great, David Cronenberg wants me to be in History of Violence, and the producers are like, sure. That wouldn't have happened, So, but maybe Captain Fantastic, I wouldn't have had the good fortune of playing Ben Cash if it hadn't been for that. There's there's a journey that comes from there. That affected this twist of fate.